Hi, how are ya? Yes, I know this is late. Listen, I know. It's just summer was so hectic, and my my whole family was like reunited over the summer. Well, not my whole family. My brother wasn't there, but vast majority of my family. And then my like older sister came, and like it was very busy. And then I went out of town for a fucking month, and so like I just got back. Okay, so I know this is late, but bear with me. And as usual, Moon is here because whenever she hears me film, she comes right away. Today we're gonna talk about my wrap-ups for July and August. I know this is the end of September, actually early October. Today's 30th of September. But it's okay, that's fine. We're just gonna go through it piece by piece, one by one. There are, I think, 7 books, so it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be great. Okay, let's get this party started, shall we? Yeah, usually like prep for this a little bit more, but I kind of don't feel like it. So today it's gonna be very chill. We're not gonna overthink this. We're not gonna complicate this. I didn't even put any makeup on. We're just gonna chill here. We're gonna sit here and we're gonna talk about the books that I read. Quick wrap up. Remember if I talked about this book or if I didn't. Oh yeah, this, by the way, my sister got me. It's from Flying Tiger. I don't know if you guys have Flying Tiger, but it's like a Danish. It's from Copenhagen, so a Danish brand, right? Danish, Denmark. Dutch is Netherlands, yes. Okay, it's a Danish brand. And it's like 100 books, like it's a book journal. And on there, let me show you like an empty one. You have like the name, the genre, first published, etc. And then you can write quotes, you can write summary, and like a little bit about the author. So yeah, I've been using this to keep track of my book. So I don't think I talked about this. I think I may have mentioned that I was reading it, but I don't think I talked about this. So just in case, I'm going to give you guys a quick wrap up about what this is. But this is like Feminism. It's called Feminism for the 99%. It has multiple authors that I do not have written down, but I think I'll just put them on a collective of essays. It's a collection of essays written by different authors, so that's why it has multiple authors, but it's essentially a manifesto. It really is like self-explanatory. It's feminism for the 99%. This author believes is all these authors, believe is that all of these struggles are actually inherently connected, and you cannot really advocate for one without the other. And that's why it is very important for us to kind of stray away from kind of mainstream liberal feminism, which is sort of white feminism, as we call it, which is like, it's asking for privileges that the vast majority of women aren't even thinking about. It's that kind of feminism strays away and takes away from the fact that despite, if a woman makes it to a CEO position, if this company is evil and is marginalizing people around the world and in the global south, is that truly feminism if you are still participating in misogyny and in the systems of the patriarchy, which are essentially oppressing others? No, it's not feminism. So it's essentially connecting all of these things with one another, and it's advocating that feminism should be part of anti-imperialist, anti-capitalist struggles and anti-racist struggles around the world, and it should all be connected with one another and carried out as one big movement. And I very much agree with this. It's a very short book. I think it was like 77 pages. Interested in this kind of ideologies and reading a little bit more about it, I highly recommend this book. It was a pretty easy book to read, and it was very short, so yeah, go for it. The next book I read is The Plague by Albert Camus. So this is if you guys don't know Albert Camus, I don't know how you don't know. Albert Camus is one of, like, I think the most famous philosophers. I heard that he is slightly racist to Algerians because he grew up in Algeria during the French colonization. If you don't know much about what France did to Algerians, I highly recommend you read up more about it. It's actually very brutal, very common in the MENA regions. We all are very much aware, but during the revolution against the French, 1 million Algerian was killed at that time. So this was like major thing. And so he actually stood up against the Algerians and the Algerian revolution against the French colonization, which I feel like when you take that into account, when you read his like philosophy, it comes off as fake to me, because how could you like advocate for all of these things and talk about all of these things and talk about the world and life and etc., and then in the same breath be against people's freedoms and struggles. And this is like something, a quote that I actually really liked, and I kept repeating, but I also was thinking about it later on. I saw it was in it, isn't it so fucking funny? But as time went on, I learned that even those who were better than the rest could not keep themselves nowadays from killing and letting others kill. Now, this was a very powerful quote. I really liked this quote, and I thought that this was so important, I think it was very important to me in the time, because the specific political things that I was keeping up with, this really resonated with me. But as I was thinking about it, he by the way is talking about capital punishment. So like, you know, killing people for crimes, etc. And I remember just like reading this and like agreeing with it, loving it, whatever. And then at the same time, I was like, isn't it funny that he's talking about like, oh, you shouldn't execute criminals, but then in the same breath was like, yeah, Algerians shouldn't get independence. It's so hypocritical for me. But yeah, I really like this book. Regardless of how I felt towards Albert Camus, I really enjoyed this book very, very much. I didn't think I would enjoy this book. A lot of this book is yapping, gotta say, and a lot of yapping that I didn't enjoy. There's parts of it that I wasn't a major fan of, but I enjoyed the whole book in general. I enjoyed reading about all these different characters. The story is that all of a sudden, like, they just started finding like dead rats all over the city, thousands of dead rats, and afterwards a plague started, and it shows you like the different characters and different people and the way people kind of interacted and reacted to the plague and how that affected their lives. It's so interesting to read. I enjoyed it very, very much. I think it's still a really great book, regardless of my criticism towards Albert Camus himself. I still think it's a really good book, and I highly recommend it. With Blue Sisters by Coco Mellors, and I think I told you that I was reading this last time we talked, right? I think so. I mentioned this, and there it is. This is it. I heard that she's a sort of a two-sider when it comes to the current genocide. I'm not a fan of that. I didn't know this before I bought this book. I just want to put a disclaimer out here. Better if you do not buy this book if you're interested. But anyway, read this book, and I gave it an 8 out of 10. Sorry, 8 out of 10. It's good. Actually, no, I think I gave it a 7 out of 10. I read this at the time I was finished reading this. I give it a 7 out of 10. It's good. It's really entertaining. I have to tell you this, it's really entertaining. I finished this book relatively quickly, even though it is a bit longer. It's just because it was entertaining. The writing is easy. It's very like easy to read. And it basically follows the story of 3 sisters, Bonnie, Lucky, and Avery, and basically the grief that they're feeling with the death of their 4th sister, which I forgot her name. Sorry guys, Nikki, right? Nikki. And you know, the struggles with grief, healing from drugs, and dealing with trauma. And that's essentially this whole book. It's a very interesting read to me. I could not relate to a lot of these characters here, and the way they act and the way they talk. It just felt just not something that I would necessarily relate to, but regardless, I enjoyed reading about their universe. One of the characters, Bonnie, I think she was the boxer. Yeah, she ends up with, maybe this is a spoiler. Maybe I shouldn't say who it ends up with, but the person she ends up with is like a little bit off for me. Regardless, it was a little bit off, okay? Just a tad bit off. But you know, regardless, I think it was a really good read. I enjoyed the story. I think looking back at it in hindsight, I enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed it a lot more than when I finished this book. I didn't think I enjoyed it as much, but like looking back, I was like, this was relatively good read. I don't know. A lot of people were like, this is one of my favorite books ever, and I was like, I think that's why when I finished this book, I was like, oh, I wouldn't say it's my favorite book ever. Like, it's not even like top 10 for me. And I think that's why I gave it a 7. It's a good book, but I don't think it's my favorite. And I don't think I would even reread this book because it's just not something, like, I don't know. I didn't connect with it as much as I hoped I would because I saw so many good reviews. But regardless of that fact, I still really, really, really like this book, and it's a really good story. It's very entertaining. It deals with a lot of things that I really like. I don't like Avery that much. Oh my god, girl, she is... I mean, I feel like all of them are a mess. Like, every single one of them, except maybe Bonnie a little bit, but what she ends up with, I didn't agree with. But in general, they're all like a big, fat fucking mess. And the whole time, I'm just like... It's like their fucking life is a shit show. It's like a fucking train wreck, and you're like... I want to look away, but I'm so interested in seeing where y'all are gonna take this. And I think that's how I felt reading this. It's super good, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe some people connect with this a lot more because they relate to some of these characters a little bit more. It's just for me, I didn't relate to a lot of these characters, and so yeah, it's not one of my favorites, but I liked it regardless. I liked it. On to my next book. It's a short book. It's a tiny little book. It's one of the Penguin Little Black classics, and this is Flush by Virginia Woolf. Now, this is a biography. It's not really a biography. It's like a fictional and a biography mixed in together of Elizabeth Barrett Browning's, there you go, pet spaniel, and it's just the cutest thing ever, and I love this. This was such an easy read. Like, I gave it a 9 out of 10. It was a really easy read. It's like a cute little story. I enjoyed it. This is, see this? This is Flush. She's such a cutie patootie. I love reading this. I think I like when a dog is sort of the main character with stuff. I think I should look for like more pets oriented books, but I think it was so nice, and I love how she mixed between sort of, because the way she wrote this from the diaries of the actual like Elizabeth Barrett Browning, who's, by the way, is an author. From her diaries, she kind of pieced it together and created like this whole book about Flush, her dog, and I love how she was able to like create a fantasy, like sort of a fictional life of his thoughts and the way he acted in certain things and the way he was thinking about certain stuff, and the way he acted and he talked and everything. It was a 10 out of fucking 10. Like, I enjoyed this book so much. Reading this was a lot of fun, and I read this before I went to sleep, and I thought it was like the most perfect thing to read before going to bed. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I wrote, like, in my fucking summary, I wrote, follows Elizabeth Barrett's dog, Flush, throughout his life and the different experiences that he gone through. One of the cutest characters ever. That's just all I wrote, and I love this. It's also like I love him. I love him so much. He's such a cutie patootie. He's such a pretty dog. He's such a cutie patootie. I didn't know like I liked spaniels before, but now I'm like, spaniels are adorable. Okay, on sale. Like, these two cost me maybe $3, both. That is how big that sale was. New Age of Empire by Kehinde Andrews. I don't know how to say his name, okay? I'm really sorry, but this is obviously a non-fiction book. It's a political book called The New Age of Empire. This was a relatively easy read, but it's also like a really strong, I think, book. If you are into anti-imperialism, anti-capitalism, this is the book for you. And to see, in this book, he discusses, first of all, the history of the Western world and its origin, and the origins of colonialism, and how colonialism never ended. It just took a different perspective or a different shape now. And this book is so strong. The history and the atrocities committed against people all over the world by Western empires, but also how empires are today and how they take shape, etc. Really good book, and I think this book was really good because he pretty much, I think, has similar stances on this. There were a few things that were incorrect to me and I found like ridiculous, is the way he kind of portrays like Libya's like civil war, like as an Arab who grew up and during the sorry, not civil war but revolution, who grew up in the Arab Spring. Like I literally grew up around the Arab Spring. Libya is this, like, Gaddafi was horrible, and regardless of what his stances, he was a pervert, he was a rapist, he used to kill people, he was a dictator, he was horrible. And just cause he had some good stances, and see, that's the thing about leftists I will never stand with, is like that doesn't necessarily mean he's a good person. And regardless of how the revolution ended up being today, Libyans to this day still celebrate the revolution and the winning of revolution, because it was so important to them to get rid of the dictator that has fucking slaughtered them. Like, I think it's so annoying when people don't listen to the natives who actually live under the, you know, dictatorships that are actively going through the horrifics of that certain system, and then telling them that you are incorrect about the way you feel. It's actually better off if you had stayed under these systems of oppression. Like, it's annoying. I didn't like that part. There was also like a lot of betrayal of like a little bit of like the Egyptian history, which I also did not agree with, about how like modern day Egyptians are not like the actual ancestors, which is like, like I see this narrative quite a bit. Not Egyptian myself, but modern day Egyptians are like at the most historically connected to the ancient Egyptians, most genetically, sorry, not historically. Yeah, and historically as well. But yeah, the most like genetically connected. And yes, there was some form of Arab immigration into Egypt, but it was not enough to change the demographics. And the way he's like, oh, black Egyptians exist, and they do. To this day, they do. Egyptians are not Arabs. And if you look at Egyptians, and this is like, I think because I'm Middle Eastern and I grew up in the MENA regions, when someone's Egyptian, you can tell because they have a very distinct looks and they look in a very specific way. And because there are their own kind of ethnic background, and they come in all colors. They all look the same, but they come in all colors. And there are black Egyptians. They look very Egyptian, but they look black, but they're black. And so, yes, black Egyptians exist, but that doesn't mean that current Egyptians are not actual Egyptians. They just Arabized later on and started adopting the Arab like culture, but they're still related to the ancient Egyptians who created all of this. And so there were a few things that I didn't necessarily agree with. He hasn't done a lot of research when it comes to the Middle East, which I didn't like. MENA, not just the Middle East, the MENA region in general, which I didn't like. But yeah, let's move on to the next book. Regardless, it's a really, 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 really good read. By the way, I gave it a 10 out of 10, okay? Despite the fact that he annoyed me in some aspects of this book, I still gave it a 10 out of 10. The next book I read is Fyodor Dostoevsky. Fyodor Dostoevsky. I don't know how to say his name, but that's fine. I think he would not know how to say my name either, because right now it's by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I gave it an 8 out of 10. So if you don't know who Fyodor Dostoevsky is, you must be living under a fucking rock, because this is a classic. He's a classic writer. This is what was written all the way in 1848. I thought there was a relatively newer author, but no, he's not. So it's a really old book, okay? A very, very old book, but I still very much enjoyed it. Is it easy to read? Not that much, okay? It is easy. It's not bad either, but sometimes I clock this. I actually don't like. Okay, wait. Let me tell you what it is. It is basically a conversation between two characters about loneliness, isolation, also unrequited love. And it's a really good book. I love the ending, love the conversations, but I have to say I absolutely despise the male character, because he is so annoying. Like, as someone who also lives in a foreign country where I don't know anyone, or where I don't talk to anyone, I'm pretty much in isolation as well. The way he acts is so cringe. He reminds me like those like good guys, those nice guys online, and it's like it pisses me the fuck off. And I see a lot of people like, I relate to him, like you shouldn't, he's annoying. And like as a loser, I can recognize that he's a fucking annoying piece of shit. You shouldn't feel connections to this man. This man, the way he speaks, it's like this guy actually hate him. And I don't know, I still love this book, but I hate that main character because it's such a good book. But I remember I was reading, he goes on I swear to God, on an 8-page long monologue. And I'm like, if I were her, I would walk away. I would walk away. Like, do you know how antisocial you have to be? As someone who's extremely antisocial, do you know how antisocial you have to be to do a fucking 8-page long monologue? Like, did you not recognize you should have stopped talking? And maybe that's why oh my God, maybe I see myself in this dude and that's why I hate him. Maybe. I did feel bad for him at the end. I was like, I laughed at him a little bit, I'm not gonna lie. And then at the end of it, after White Nights ended, there's actually a short story also by Fyodor, obviously, and it's called Booktok. I love that one. It made me chuckle quite a bit. It's a really, really short story. Like it's only like this big. And I really, really liked it. It's just about a person who sees the dead, basically. And then you can see he was in he went through a funeral and he was just standing there and he could hear the dead talking with one another, and the whole thing is just the dead speaking. And I was like, why is this so entertaining? Like, it was so entertaining. I enjoyed this over that dude's 8-page long monologue, even though I found it profound and I found it amazing. It's just like, I felt like, I don't know, maybe because I should have not been thinking about it as like a real conversation, but I couldn't help it. And the whole time I'm like, enough, you're embarrassing yourself. You're embarrassing yourself enough. Like I said, I probably see myself in this dude, which is why I felt so strongly about him. Let's just not talk about it. Let's just not talk about it, okay? Let's move on. Oh my God, yes. The 1984 by George Orwell. I love this book, okay? I give it a 9 out of 10, and ease of reading is 10 out of 10, by the way. It's so easy to read. Like, I love his, like, writing style. That is very profound, but at the same time, like, it's easy to read. It's simple. It's not something, like, as a non-native speaker, I love when authors don't want to show off with their big words and their, like, very, like, intense construction of work and letters and sentences. And it's like, okay, yeah, I get it. Like, that's a type of art and I get that. But, like, as someone who wants to, like, understand and educate myself and really deeply, like, understand the message of certain books, it's easier if you just write it like this. Like, it's still amazing. You still have to read between the lines. It's a lot of metaphors, but at the same time, it's easy to read, okay? Loved this book. If you guys didn't know this, I am Syrian, and I grew up under an authoritative totalitarian police state. And reading this book was the oddest thing for me. Like, this entire time I was reading this book, I was just like, many themes of this book that I've actually experienced in real life. Like, when it started off, I was like so shocked, because when it started off, he was like walking up the stairs, and everywhere he would see the picture of Big Brother, like huge posters of the picture of Big Brother, who's like the leader. And I was like, oh my God, because that's where I grew up. Like, we had pictures of like Bashar al-Assad and Hafiz al-Assad, like our dictators, literally everywhere. They would post their pictures in every fucking corner. In class, when you're sitting down above the board, we would have pictures of this dude. Like, we had to look at him every fucking day, and you would feel like you're being fucking watched by him at all times. And they do that on purpose. It's like it's supposed to be mental. Also, the party slogan, it made me feel like this is exactly what they teach you. It's exactly it. War is peace. freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. Like they would say shit like this to us. So many things, like vaporized, like getting vaporized, we call it the forcefully disappeared, and that happened to us frequently. We also had a surveillance. Obviously it wasn't like so high tech as it is in here. It's very, very high tech here. Kind of dumb. They're very stupid. They're not the most educated groups of people, you know, ours. So they couldn't like figure out how to do telescreens. They're too stupid for that. But we did have like a surveillance, like intelligence police would dress as civilians and infiltrate us. There were also like people like regular citizens, and they would be able to basically report anyone, zero evidence. And you know, if you hated somebody, you can go report them and they would get vaporized, aka forcefully disappeared. Reading this book, I felt very frustrated this whole time. I saw the ending coming, obviously. As someone who grew up under a regime like this, I was like, you are so stupid. You are too trusting. You are too reckless. You never pay attention. You do not look around enough. You do not pay attention enough. Of course that happened to him. Like the whole time I'm like, I don't know, I think 1984 is old enough. Maybe. Is it old enough? I mean, it was released in 1949. Maybe it's old enough for me to say this, but like the whole time I was like, you are gonna get arrested, bro. Like, why are you just trusting people? He trusts people left and fucking right. And I'm just like, in some cases, in some families, they like people between siblings where they would not speak up against the government. They would not tell each other what they actually believed. And so we would just say we loved the government and we loved the party, whatever, because you don't know, you don't trust each other. Like that amount of mistrust it creates between citizens is so extreme that people refuse, like it gives us major trust issues. Like we stop being able to trust each other within our own families. And so the fact that he trusted oh my god, I forgot her name. It's because this was a few months ago, guys. I'm sorry. Julia, there you go. He trusted Julia too easily. He trusted O'Brien too easily. He trusted everybody, and the guy at the shop, like the whole time I was just like, you're so stupid for trusting that dude. Like, how could you just trust him? And like when he was sitting and he was reading the book out loud, and the windows by the window, he was reading. Zero fucking survival skills. Yeah, it's so good. The most unrealistic part is how trusting this man was to everyone. And it's very fucking stupid. And they saw it. I saw it coming. Saw it from a fucking mile away. I was like, yeah, that's gonna happen to him. And it did, okay? Love this book. I deeply engaged with this book. I would take notes. I would, highlight parts of it. I would talk about it to my family. I actually quite frequently, I always saw why people talk about this and they love this book. And I was like, why should I read 1984? I lived through the real life. I lived through it. I lived through the experience myself. I went through it IRL. So for me, it's why should I read this book, right? But reading this book actually kind of vindicated me a little bit and also pissed me off. And I was so deeply interested in the story. I think probably because I related to the character quite a bit. So I really loved it. But if you guys don't know what 1984 is, it follows Winston Smith, who lives in a dystopian version of the world as he struggles to continue to support the ruling party. So he hates the ruling party. He wants to overthrow it, okay? And he doesn't know how to, right? He just hates them and he can't help it. A quote that truly gets to me is, "There is no way in which the party can be overthrown. The rule of the party is forever. Make that the starting point of your thoughts." This really resonated with me because this is the way they spoke with us. They would say that they're there forever and they can never, ever, ever overthrow us because they are just invincible. You can never go up against them. And I feel similarly they talk about that's how Israel to portray itself as well. And I have to say, nothing is forever. It has been proven time and time again that nothing is forever. a play-by-play of the world we lived in. So it's very interesting. I enjoyed it very much, and I highly recommend it, by the way. I mean, if you haven't, because honestly, who has not read that book already? Okay, yeah, this is the last book. I kind of am going through these quite fast, which I like. Okay, but this book is The Implosion of Contemporary Capitalism by Samir, Amin. I saw like a TikTok about this, like someone's like recommending a bunch of books that are like anti-capitalism and anti-neoliberalism, and I was like, okay, like that's what I'm interested in. Seeing Samir Amin, I realized he's Middle Eastern, so I was like, oh my god, finally I can read about this from the perspective of someone who's from the MENA region, an economist. He's a Marxist economist. So he is discussing contemporary capitalism, as he calls it, but it's essentially oligarchy or monopoly capitalism. He's discussing how we got to this point and also what are the drawbacks on this, and in a way discusses sort of the different countries, different empires, and what they're currently doing. And how contemporary capitalism is like affected them, etc. It's a really, 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 really good book. I enjoyed it very much. I enjoyed a lot of it very much. I couldn't help but to think that he is extremely biased. That's like every single author has a weakness in a certain area, and I was able to see through this author's weakness. He's very much a communist, okay? He's obviously a Marxist, a communist. So when he talks about China and when he talks about like the Europe, right? He speaks with them at a very different rate, and even other like communist countries, the way he speaks up about them, even though they have been proven not to be great, the way he speaks up about them is very different than the West, even though they're still evil as well, which I think is so funny. Like liking the I perceive myself as a democratic socialist. Liking communism should not have even if I saw someone who's a democratic socialist, let's say he follows the policies I want, but let's say he was still oppressing some form of society, I would still go up against that guy, right? Because I'm I cannot I don't think you're actually a democratic socialist. If certain parts of our society are being oppressed, you're not actually a democratic socialist, right? And I'm able to separate that. At least I hope so. I think I can see that. I think I do a good job on that. But for him, he is very much very biased in the way he speaks about certain things in certain countries. Now I have an economics degree. I very much agree with the way he talks about China in a sense of how genius their central planning is and the way they navigate the economy. Does that take away from the fact that he doesn't like to mention it, though he mentions it for other countries, but he doesn't mention how, for example, China does actually see resources from Africa as well, and how they kind of allow the status quo to continue to be upheld. And there's a lot of things about it that he just doesn't talk about. He also loves to talk about democracy, right? He talks a lot about democracy, and then when it came to China, it's yeah, they don't have democracy, but it doesn't matter. It's what do you mean? Maybe I misconstrued the whole thing. Maybe I didn't understand it properly, but I was just reading this book. In some instances of this book, I was just Also, I didn't like his writing style. No offense to him. I didn't love his writing style, so it's actually a relatively harder book to read, so that's why I give it a 6, because his writing style is not my favorite. It's very dry. I like it when authors add in a little joke, here and there. There's just lighter, the way they speak about subjects is a bit lighter. He likes to use really, really, really big words all the time, everywhere, which is fine, right? But it's a bit hard to digest, so it took me quite a while to finish this book because I was just I would get bored easily. But I give it a 7 out of 10. It is still a really good book. And he still talks about subjects in a really good way. And I actually really enjoyed this book. So if you're interested, check it out. Yes, that's it. Because the next book I did not finish until September. So these are for the next wrap up. All right. Yeah, that's all for today. I just talked to you guys through all the books that I've read in July and August. Hopefully you guys like one of them. If you guys are gonna read any of them, please let me know. I would love to see what you choose to pick. Right now I'm kind of reading a little bit more classics and like my fictional books. I think because I read a lot of non-fiction, fantasy and stuff like that, so I'm trying to like read a bit more of the classics. That's why currently I'm reading the Brothers of Karamov. I forgot the exact word. I'm gonna put on screen, but it's obviously a Fyodor Dostoevsky book, and it's 800 pages long, and I bought the book. It's like this big. I'm dead ass this big. But I love it. Like I don't love it. I don't have anything towards it because I just started it. I read like 25 pages so far, so I don't have really any opinion, but I'm excited because I know, like, I see so many people talk about how like it's one of their favorite books ever, so I'm very much interested in seeing where it's gonna go. It's okay so far. And the other book I'm reading right now is Teaching Critical Thinking by Bell Hooks. Yeah, I have been reading a lot of like political books that are very politically like dense and heavy, and I have gotten a little bit bored, so I wanted to tackle something that's a little bit less, still very political, because I enjoy that. It's a little bit more easy to digest and a little bit more interesting, and not interesting, but it's just like easier to read. But yeah, that's pretty much it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed my reading list, and tell me if you're gonna read anything I read. Also, if you have any like non-fiction books, I'm willing to read anything. If you have any non-fictional book that you want me to read or you want us to read, let me know. I would love to read anything you guys want to. Yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Happy fall, cause it's officially fall now. And yeah, I'm gonna put up a vlog sooner or later. I filmed a little throughout the summer, but it's so bad, like it's so sparse and not very well edited, like connected. So I'm gonna have to do a lot of like narration if I'm gonna have to like post it, which I don't feel like doing. So probably not gonna post them, but we'll see. But yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.